this is the first time I've done this. I meant to do this as a summer series, and I just got lazy and I didn't do it. I also only had like three guests over the total entirety of the summer. I had you, Ryan, and I had I think Mainin. That was for the Heat. Uh, so this is the first time, like I said, first time I'm doing this, and naturally, we're both Dolphins fans.
Mhm.
You're an Angels fan. You like your other teams, but no one cares about that. We care about football right now. So, Donovan, I'm going to pose some very intriguing thoughts about concerns about the Miami Dolphins going into the season as to why they could. There is definitely an opportunity for failure for the Miami Dolphins this year. I am concerned about the offensive line. They are trying to make it work. Now, obviously, you have Armstead. He's injury prone. You have Connor Williams. He's playing center. He's never played that position before. Outside of Robert Hunt, everybody else stinks or is unproven. Eichenberg, Austin Jackson, Solomon McKinley. There's just a lot of question marks on that offensive line. And then we think Tua is going to be better. We think Tua is going to be better. He's looked better in preseason so far. But there is still that possibility that Tua actually does, in fact, suck. And he's not a pro level quarterback. And he's just a game manager. And unless everything is literally perfect, that he falls on his face, and this is the last year of the Dolphins. There is a lot of issues that could lead to the Dolphins to having a 500 record this year and miss the playoffs. Tell me why that's not going to happen.
Well, first off, I'm actually gonna correct you on one thing. I don't think Tua's looked better in preseason because he played all of like a drive and a half.
I'm talking
But
preseason and
so Camp
training
he
camp.
had
Yes.
Camp he has looked better. But as far as the offensive line goes, the concerns there, Soren Armstead being injury prone. My concern is, that backup left tackle position because uh the guy that we have currently, I can't even remember his name. He's so bad.
What position?
Coleman.
Oh yeah,
Coleman is
something
absolutely
Coleman. Yeah.
horrendous. He's a very large dude. He's literally like 6'6", 300 pounds, 320 pounds, and he just gets bulldozed
Yeah, but
over.
he's not a starter.
He's not a starter, but I mean, if Teron Armstead goes down, he's played 10 games a year for the last 3 years, so there is concern there. Um, I think that's part of the reason that they're conditioning. They've literally. I think this is probably the most health conscious uh, coaching squad we've had in a while, where they're gonna hold the player out if they feel like, let's give you your rest, your veteran rest. Let's make sure you're going to be healthy for the whole season. So I think that's my optimism there. As far as the center position, it does concern me, but it seems that he's getting a little bit better. But he has consistently high snaps. Tua seems to be handling it really well, but how's that going to fare with the run game? You're missing a half a second on a run play. That's a lot in the NFL.
Yeah, that's a big that's a 5+ yard gain to now the hole is stuffed and there's nowhere for your running back to go.
Exactly.
And then you get into the second and third and longs, and is Tua going to be able to produce? Let's actually talk about Tua for a little bit. So Tua, a lot of questions through his first couple years. First year, well documented, did not do good. Offense wasn't designed for him. It was designed for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yes. Last year, offensive line still stunk. His only weapon was really Waddle. Gesicki again was meh. So we haven't seen the best of Tua. He can play better, certainly, but there is still an obvious concern. We think as Dolphins fans, we think he's going to succeed, but I know for a fact every single one of us are going to walk into that stadium week one with a little bit of anxiety because there is still that chance that he does suck and that the offense fails. And it would fail because of him, because everything else is perfect. Offensive line, yeah. All the skill possessions we have out there are about as good as you could ask for. Now it's to his job.
So,
does that concern you?
Only a little bit. So I'm not sure if you realize, but the reason that Gesicki was meh last year on the third and longs is because he wasn't out there. On third and long, he was not out there.
Well, I'm talking about as a whole.
But I got you. But
Tua plays best when everything's going the right way.
No argument there. But when it comes down to like the last 2-minute drill, or they need a quick score, I've seen Tua light up the field. And I mean,
light up
the field, bro. The last 2-minute drill against the Atlanta Falcons, the Jaguars. I mean, given there's two bad teams,
the Jaguars. What we failed a fourth down conversion in our half of the field.
What was it? The London game last year?
Yeah.
And the last 2-minute warning.
we had a failed fourth down conversion on our half of the field. Remember, we tried to QB sneak it and it didn't work. Now the
Well,
Falcons game, I'll give you. The Falcons
okay,
game is it though.
so we had the lead though. We
We
had
did, but we then gave them the ball on our half of the field.
and they kicked the field goal.
Yeah, and won the game. Yeah.
Yes. But
There's only one real true evidence of Tua being able to go down the field and not win us the game, but put us in a position to win the game. Now he had the winning drive against Arizona. I get that, and that was a good game by him. But last year, it's really just that Atlanta game where it was his stamp on the game that won us the game.
Well, we didn't win against Atlanta. Defense.
Sorry, forgot that. Yeah, I kind of forgot that point of it. Yeah, we still didn't even win, and
because he did have defense let up on a last-minute field goal.
They did, and we also had, Tua had his interceptions in that game. I'm not going to blame him for that game, but a lot of evidence that he's not a perfect quarterback, and he's not an elite quarterback.
But you're also talking about a last 2-minute drill with the other teams up, and they sent people at Tua with that horrible offensive line, and his way of staying calm, I actually think that's like his elite trait. So you know how you go by every quarterback and their elite trait. Tom Brady is his massive IQ. Peyton Manning, his massive IQ. Joe Burrow, his arm.
I don't think it's one thing with Burrow, but
it's more of like his leadership, I would say.
Like with Herbert, you say it's his arm. Lamar, you say his athleticism.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, his speed.
And I would say with Tua, it's his calmness. And calmness through, being absolutely obliterated every other play. And just still being able to, stay level-minded, doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. Now, I think that maybe he should get a little hot sometimes, but we're seeing that little bit more personality kind of bust through every day, just a little bit more. But so it doesn't really concern me with that. It's really just how are we going to play throughout the game? Are we going to have a run game? Because if we don't have a run game, it's going to be the same thing as last year, in my opinion.
I think that is going to be a big issue. And we obviously are mostly playing devil's advocate because I am a Dolphins fan and I do believe in what the team has done so far this offseason. But a lot of it is just truth. Tua, the where this team goes is almost solely in the hands of Tua because we've done everything on all aspects of the ball, even special teams, good punter, good kicker. On the defense, we retained pretty much everybody we wanted to, like even coaching staff, everybody we wanted to retain. On the offensive side now, you put in so much money invested into this offense that this is all on Tua now to perform. And even not playing as devil's advocate, that is scary because he doesn't. Yeah, you say his calmness is his it factor, but that's not truly an it factor. That's just kind of a minimum. Like to be a superstar quarterback, you have to be able to be poised, and all these other star quarterbacks have done that. That's not an it factor for me. He doesn't have an it factor. His it factor is his accuracy, but again, that's kind of just something that's required. He doesn't have that thing that pops on tape. He doesn't have that thing that makes you believe in him as an athlete. He is so limited in what he does great. It has to be the accuracy. It has to be this poise. And it has to be nearly perfect for you to get the best version of Tua Tagovailoa.
There are certain times where I'm like, damn. Like when gonna bring up a home game that we were at where I think it was against the Jets where he absolutely just trucked one of their safeties.
Like that got a little overplayed. That got overplayed because of all the pressure that he was facing. He did that, and I was like, "Oh wow, you did it! You finally a highlight play."
But it was more of just like I wasn't expecting that for him. And that's what it was, and that's like if we see more of that type of stuff, like him just pushing through and
you want to see the dog
scrambling. I want to see the dog,
and we haven't seen the dog. We've seen him be a lot more comfortable and confident in camp. We've seen him get the orange jerseys quite a few times so far in the preseason training camp. So there is promise. I am just a little bit concerned that we haven't really seen it on the field. 2 years in a row, opportunity to make the playoffs. He has shrunk. Not all his fault. I get that. but he has shrunk in those big opportunities against the Buffalo Bills. Like when he had to play another playoff team in order to get into the playoffs, we got decimated. We got destroyed. And we haven't really fared well against playoff teams over the last couple of years. Yeah, we were 2-0 against the Patriots last year, but we can both agree probably that the Patriots were frauds last year. And this year, you're going to see a better representation of who the Patriots are. And I'm very concerned for the Patriots. So I'd be really interested to have Jay on here and talk about the Patriots and try to spark any confidence in them. But Dolphins, I do have a lot of confidence in. And as a Dolphins fan, I think and expect them to make the playoffs, but there's a lot of possibilities for them not make the playoffs.
So what playoff teams did we actually beat last year besides the Patriots? That's a good question as well.
Did we? Who did we play in the NFC last year?
NFC. Well, I can tell you. It
was NFC South, and we lost to the Buccaneers, which was the only playoff team from that division. So we didn't beat an NFC playoff team. AFC wise, didn't beat the Bills. We beat the Patriots twice.
Mm-hmm. We lost to the Jags.
We lost to the Tennessee Titans, which is a playoff team. The whole AFC South. We played the whole AFC South and the whole NFC South, and both of those divisions only had one playoff team.
Yeah, and we lost to both the Titans and Colts.
Lost to the Raiders. The only playoff team we beat last year was the Patriots. The year before that, I don't think he was much better.
Yeah.
And
the playoff teams that it wasn't really close against the Titans. That was an I put that a lot of it on Tua. I do put some of it as well on the coaching staff. We never really got to talk about this on the podcast before, but that particular game, maybe it was Tua's stubbornness of not wanting to wear a glove, but he should have done something because he couldn't grip the ball, and it just led to absolute turmoil of that game.
Yeah, and it's the same thing we've seen the last 2 years, that very ceremonious failure to end the season. Like we were feeling really good, like not beating the best of teams, but feeling really good when we had that 7 or 8 game winning streak in the middle to end of our season, and we felt good. But it was against not the best competition, and that leads me to the question: like, can this team play well against the top tier competition? This year, we're going to look completely different than we did last year, and you trust the offense more. And I do think we both expect them to make the playoffs, but I do have concerns. I think there is a lot of legitimate question marks around the team, and therefore, I do think there's a big defense that needs to be. You have to have a big conversation about what this team's going to look like. This is the conversation we had about the Dolphins. Like I said, we're going to have it about the Jets. I'd like to bring Jay on, have him talk about Patriots. Chris Rosen was supposed to be the first guest. We were supposed to be talking about the Cowboys, and now that's even more juicy. Like that's going to be.
Oh yeah, with Smith being out,
with the whole team being just destroyed, whether it be through losing players or injuries. So I'd love to have Chris on top of the Cowboys and also basketball and other teams. I'm really excited I finally got this series actually started. So next week, really happy to have Joe on the show talk to us about the Jets.